yeah. I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won. Yeah. I hope my team they won. Yeah. Man, I hope my team they won. I hope my team they won. Yeah. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with this hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gonna teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, and AD Drew. We have the team together to give you your update, particularly from a mid-major perspective. Welcome to episode 713 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab radio show and podcast, the show that's covering the sporting HBCU dash for all things HBCU sports for institutions large and small, from the NEIA to the NCAA. We share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs and the business of HBCU sports. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, along with my co-host, Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, as well as AD Drew. We're filming from our home studios, literally today, home studios, sending a signal live to KSWH 1230 AM studios with the Texas Radio Hall of Famer. That's multi-Hall of Famer for those that don't know, Ralph Cooper, in the beautiful home of Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. Let's bring everybody on as I say the following message from one of our top sponsors, obviously, that makes this happen. It's today's episode of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab radio show is sponsored by THG Agency, LLC. THG Agency is the company that provides sporting, educational, consulting, and data analytics. With that being said, let me go to you, Charles. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. It's rivalry week. Number one, Jackson State Southern coming up this week, and instead of talking about that, I'm fighting with band heads on my phone. So we're not gonna do that this week. So
I like that. Just nip it in the bud. You're right. They're messing up a whole rivalry week because you mad.
Like I'm trying to dig into football and I'm fielding calls and texts about.
Man, what a way to mess up the start of a week.
Man.
I get you. I know if I wasn't no Grambling fans out there that have taken it to the chin, rightfully so, in terms of JSU, the game that they boycotted and ruined the homecoming. I guess they hadn't quite got to that point where they ruined somebody's homecoming. But if I'm Grambling, I'm Jackson, the Sonic Boom.
Hey, I'm just saying.
Especially Avis, because Avis is notorious. Shout out to Avis. I had to talk to him a minute. Catch up with my buddy Avis. With that being said, Big Mike, how are you doing today?
What up, fellas? How y'all doing? Pretty good. We really getting in the crux of football season. Unfortunately, the rivalry, in addition to the Southern Jackson State game, the rivalry I'm looking forward to is Grambling PV. Unfortunately, I will be out of the country, and I'm upset. I'm upset that I will not have to watch that game from Brazil. So other than that, I'm really upset about this. Can't you feel this emotion I'm going through? So,
yeah, we sure can. In fact, we're so feeling it so much. We're jealous. Yeah. Good stuff. With that being said, Mike, find your television streaming platform. It's streaming. You're all right. Let us know if Swag TV works in Brazil or HBCU go. With that being said, let me go to you, AD Drew. How you doing today?
I'm doing fine. I'm surviving, typical football season, ups and downs. But I got two questions. Number one, where in the world, you remember where in the world is Matt Lauer?
Yeah.
Where in the world today is Mike Washington? right?
No doubt. I'm scared to ask since he dropping stuff like Brazil.
So what? We know where you going. Where you at, Mike? You in Houston?
Maybe.
No,
I'm actually in Houston this week.
What?
For two and a half more days, and then I leave the country again. So
right. And
I
then
can't believe it. I'm stunned.
question
Would that
number
mean?
two.
Go ahead, Drew.
Question number 2 is and I'm trying to put this without being petty, but
Is there such a thing?
just
what
let it out.
what them rings at it's gonna be somebody decide they don't want one this year. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. Somebody's band decide they don't want a ring this year. So we gonna leave it right there.
Yeah, they gonna get their own ring.
They're gonna make their own ring.
Well, let's get into it since we done teased it out a little bit. Jackson State band wants out of ESPN HBCU band competition. We talked about it as soon as we saw the social media post. Was that the band director, Charles?
Yeah, Roger Little. Yes, Dr. Roger Little. Mm-hmm.
Dr. Little. Mm-hmm. The Jackson State University Sonic Boom of the South Band has announced it will not participate in ESPN Red Lobster Band of the Year competition. It was a decision outlined by band director Dr. Roger Little in a public message on social media. Quote, "We will respect the decision of the program to participate as well as the enthusiasm of fans who follow the competition." Little wrote, "At Jackson State, our students work tirelessly and are evaluated by a different set of standards, those that focus on personal growth, music excellence, and cultural impact. We take immense pride in the integrity, resilience, and life achievements of members of both and off the field." In this letter, Dr. Little reaffirmed Jackson State's respect of the Band of the Year organization and the broader HBCU community, noting that Sonic Boom's own measure of success are internally defined rather than relying on external rankings or contests. Dr. John T. Grant, Executive Director, ESPN Events Red Lobster Band of the Year, told HBCU Game Day that the group acknowledged Jackson State's decision not to participate in moving forward. "We acknowledge the position taken by Jackson State University Sonic Boom of the South. Each band will be adjudicated through the season as we have for the last 2 seasons. Our process provides that any band in the season ending top 5 may decline to participate in the final competition if selected," Grant told the website. "The objective of the Band of the Year is to provide evaluation and insight to help each band improve their overall on-field performance," end quote, he said. The only thing that I wasn't sure about from Dr. Little was his explanation. I really didn't quite understand why. And
exactly
like that is at least you put in the why. The other thing is I hope that he got this cleared by the president's office. I hope it wasn't an individual thing, because that can be a challenge depending on how the alumni push or whatever and how potentially the president feels about it. So if it's made by the university, I certainly support that. I'm just saying from a perspective, I hope they understood that. Israel said she checked for grammar. That's spoken like a professor. How dare you put this out there? You ain't checked for grammar. Go ahead. Other than that, I think you have every right. If you don't want to participate, you don't participate. I just think a clarifying statement in terms of specifically why you're not going to participate or your grievance, whatever that may be. But just to say that you're recognized as a higher standard, no doubt. Jackson State, we all know that. But what does that have to do with not participating in the Classic? I was a little different than John T. Grant. If somebody doesn't want to be quote unquote adjudicated, which is fascinating to me, don't adjudicate them. But he says, hey, so that didn't clear the way that they're still gonna be adjudicated. So I thought that was kind of hilarious, even though I wouldn't have did that to him. But then had to step in the final 5, which clearly is what they want. It's intriguing to me. Charles, I don't know if it's fair to do this to you, but I'm gonna go ahead and ask you any perspective you have on this.
I'm not a fan of the decision from the standpoint of, even on this show, we talk about the marching sport, the battle. And one of the things that I do take pride in with Sonic Boom South is
Yeah,
anywhere, any place, anytime. And they do get on the road and they do perform and they do
right.
they battle. That is part of that Love the Boom brand. So I am disappointed in that regards. I'm sure Dr. Little, probably has whatever reason, but I think even from the broader perspective, I kind of see this Red Lobster Band of the Year sort of. I see the growth of where it can go.
Right.
So when you have an opportunity to make money or bring in revenue, more revenue for the band, you jump at that opportunity. So I can't say that I'm happy about the decision. I think you're going to take a hit from a brand perspective, not participating in the Band of the Year competition. And why now? I mean, the Jackson State brand right now, you're coming off a HBCU national championship.
Exactly.
I mean, put Jackson State at the forefront of everyone's thoughts. But
Yeah, I talked to me. It just sounded like a professor. Well, Professor Bishop decided to chime in. He sounds just like a professor teaching the class on sport marketing, particularly from an HBCU perspective. Go ahead, Mike.
I'm sorry. Yeah, Charles, I know you love I love whatever, but I'm gonna look at it from a different perspective. Can you be more cryptic with your answer? Seriously, if this was a corporation and they gave this response, our stakeholders and everybody else that we are accountable to will be asking us, sending us letters, asking us what is the expletive. What is up with this? Maybe you know something more than I do, but you got $100,000 on. Yes, you have the right. Let me give that disclaimer to do what you want to, but at least give an uncryptic answer. I mean, you break this thing down. Yes, we know you are held to a higher standard. No, duh. Yes, we know you pursue excellence. Every band does. Duh. But give a little bit less, be a little less cryptic in the response, I would say. That's my only thing. Yes, they may have a legitimate reason, and we respect that position, but God dang, that cryptic response, that just threw me off to the side. I had to take a drink just to read that over and over again.
To see if you missed something. Drew, you can have the final part of this.
First of all, before I make my comments, since I do work for ESPN and I am the media director for the Band of the Year, I must start off and say that the opinions that I am about to express are my own opinions and do not reflect the position of ESPN events and the Red Lobster Band of the Year contest. Now, the AD Drew perspective. I think it's as adults, sometimes we don't think about the people who will serve it, i.e., the members of the band, when we make these type of decisions, because the opportunity for these people to compete and to possibly win a ring, go ask A&T what that meant for them and their students. We're not talking about the publicity. We're not talking about the money. We're not talking about all that stuff, and which is important, just like Mike just said. Just from the experience for those members of the band to be in the competition, win or lose. And A&T has been on both sides of it. They have won one and they have lost one. And I know what that did for those people at FAMU by, dare I say it, upsetting A&T last year in the Band of the Year competition. Ask some people at Miles. Ask that little bitty school down in Miami, Florida, who barely had uniforms, what that meant to their program to come up and win, i.e., Florida Memorial 2 years ago. So when we as adults make those type decisions, I'm just curious, are we taking everything into account, especially the people who are actually competing? Because when I was involved in athletics, and if you told me that I had a team that was good enough to compete for a championship, let me win or lose my championship on the field. Don't take it away. Don't take the opportunity to compete for it away from me.
And I'll say this, and I'll throw this out there. Dr. Little is a very affable individual, and I'm sure, if I'm sure he if given the opportunity, he'll probably explain the nuance or explain even more as to why they're not participating in this ESPN Battle of the Bands. But right now, it does leave sort of a gap in terms of those who are trying to figure out the why. So, who knows in due time, and maybe if just somebody, reaches out to him and says, can you explain a little bit more? I'm sure he'd be more than happy to do it. So.
Yeah, and I think he should. I think he probably would. But there's enough band shows out there that he could.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't want to hear that. And then you got a campus, you got JSU TV. And like I said, if this was made or at least, consulted by the president, you could have easily went to JSUT and put out something. My problem is not necessarily the decision. That's one layer to it. As I said, you had it right. But to put out, as Mike said, a cryptic letter, not to really get in front of the mic and talk about that. I think Drew makes some excellent points in terms of that decision. But sometimes adults have to make a decision that affects young folks. So I even deal with that from that. But I think it's a little bit of a challenge for most people out there. And you opened it up and said that as a very loyal person to GSU. You were very open in terms of your personal feelings in regard to having such pride in Sonic. And I see you around it, and I'm a fan. My son, you snuck in and made sure my son has become a fan of Sonic Boom of the South. Like many other bands, but that's one of the top ones he has out there and wants to see participate. But as a young boy that plays sports, one of the things we talk about when he's out there is how to win or lose in a manner. Now, if he felt that they were not being treated right, obviously all of us as African Americans in this community certainly in the rationale for boycotting. But if you're going to say that, make it clear that you're going to boycott Target because of this and this and that, right? You're going to boycott this brand for this, this, and that. You're going to boycott the Red Lobster essentially because that's what you're doing. Lay it out. Lay it out.
Own it.
Own it.
Yes.
Don't be halfway in this and then come back later and try to say we're going to explain it. I'm sorry. It just doesn't work for me.
Dr. Cavil, I always say, sometimes we make bad decisions, but if you could justify your bad decision,
exactly,
then I could live with it. I could understand it. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather that than the indecisiveness. But be decisive, justify what was going through your head, and we could live with it and move on or correct it or whatever we need to do depending on the situation.
And I will say this as we close this, because I don't want this to be a session where we just bang on Sonic Boom South. That is not the purpose of what we do on this show to any institution, any coach, any player, AD, president, chancellor, our band director. Mad respect. We're out here to support that. And so regardless of how we feel about this, the Sonic Boom of the South will do what they do. They will continue to participate at a high level in terms of bands. As I say, the marching sport, they're going to do what they do. So I don't want this to take away in terms of the legendary Sonic Boom of the South, regardless of how this decision was made and what was going on. We kind of said what we said, but with that saying, we support, celebrate Sonic Boom of the South. So let's take our first break, come back on the other side. Let's get back into what we really like to talk about here, which is the sporting side of that. Obviously, we tell you, and we call it marching sport for a reason, so we're going to include something as significant as the decision made there. We'll get down in the top 7 when we come back and break it down. Before we do that, I will have a little statement on the battle that led to top 25 polls shifting. I'll enter a little bit of that before we get into the breakdown of those top 7 and essentially list the top 10 teams in this next segment in terms of how they fared this past weekend, getting into conference play at the Division II level, what we call the mid-major. We'll be right back after this first break.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Cavil of Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. Whether you're a student or a lifelong supporter, our gear lets you wear your HBCU story with confidence and style. Because when you wear HBCU Image, you're not just wearing clothes. You're wearing culture. You're wearing pride. You're wearing purpose. HBCU.
College football fans, the Cricket Celebration Bowl is celebrating 10 years of crowning an HBCU national champion. A champion will rise at Mercedes-Benz Stadium on December 13th as the MEAC and SWAC champions clash in Atlanta. Join us for championship football, interactive fan experiences, and iconic marching bands. It's an HBCU family reunion that you don't want to miss. See who will be crowned the next HBCU national champion. For event and ticket information, visit thecelebrationbowl.com.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna law, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, and AD Drew. With that being said, Drew, if you will, let's pull up last week's rankings as we get into the talk about the top 7. As we're preparing to do that, you see in terms of what we did with the top 7 and how some of these had feature matchups. One of them was too fascinating. You had the number 1 Edward Waters playing a major division that a lot of folks thought there might be the first mid-major, major division upset in terms of HBCU programs. So that was fascinating in terms of what that looks like. But the national spotlight of HBCU football in Division II continues to shine. This is according to HBCU Game Day and Stephen Gaither as he does the appropriate work to shine a light on the HBCU programs at the Division II level. Still, the balance of power shifts in the CIAA as the top 25 polls reset following a pivotal weekend with Virginia Union, John C. Smith, JCSU as folks know, Virginia State University, and Edward Waters are still shaping the narrative, whether inside the CIAA race or in Edward Waters' case, as an SIC program and gaining national recognition. Virginia Union, with their win over John C. Smith 28-10, jumped into the top 25, but also pushed them up all the way to 21 in both the D2football.com and AFCA poll rankings. So that was interesting. Edward Waters put the Panthers' resume comes as an asterisk of only blemishes that 41-31 road loss. The Edward Waters and SIC program that stunned Virginia Union, as they say in Jacksonville. So JCSU falls, but is not forgotten as they're still receiving some votes in the poll rankings there. They were both top 25s last weekend going into it, but still picked up 13 votes in the AFCA polls outside of the top 25. So fascinating when you think about that. Virginia State got a big win over Winston-Salem State, so they're back in the business. When you think about what they did, the Virginia State is surging. The Trojans cracked top 23 in the D2Football.com poll this week after edging Winston-Salem State by a single point. In the AFCA poll, VSU remains outside of the top 25, but they clearly on the radar as they are receiving votes. Edward Waters, SIAC spoiler with national impact. Edward Waters may not play in the CIAA, but their impact can't be ignored as they were off to a 3-0 start, the best since the 60s. But they had a tough matchup, so they fell a little bit there. But they certainly are in that race in the SIAC as well as in the top 25 for those that are having some interest of what that looks like. With that being said, let's get into some of these scores from the top 7 and see what these gentlemen think about that. Go ahead to those scores of this week. We had that matchup with Bethune-Cookman and Edward Waters. Obviously, the score should be reversed there. Mid-majors, major division. Bethune-Cookman got the first win of the year at home. 35-9 was the final score there. Good job by Bethune-Cookman in terms of what that took place there. Let's go to that matchup, which featured 2 versus 3. I was intrigued about this. Kind of surprised, not that Virginia Union didn't win the game, but they pretty much won in solid fashion, 28-10 over the Golden Bulls. Remember, this counts as a loss for the Bulls, but not necessarily a win for Virginia Panthers. Now, you go to the website at CIAA, they do have it as a win, so we'll get some clarifying on what that looks like. Next slide, if you would, Drew.
I was going to say the important thing about that is a region win.
Even more important. Thank you for putting that out there. Number 4, quietly Albany State. They were open. They are certainly going to be in that race. We got to keep our eyes on them. It's fascinating as they get back in the business of football this weekend. We'll see what that looks like in our last segment. Next slide, when we look at number 5 versus number 8, top 10 matchup essentially. Benedict not only won this game, but won going away. Challenging when you think about what took place with Golden Tigers, who started the season pretty solid, thought they were going to be in the mix. Bethune-Cookman, we're trying to figure out where they are. They look like they're going to try to be in the race, and maybe they're back to the football business in terms of their old ways. 45-24 was the final there. Next slide, in terms of going into number 6. Keep going in terms of what took place there.
That was Allen over Clark Atlanta.
Allen over Clark Atlanta. Let's just say 49-38. That was a surprise for a lot of folks. Allen really good. Clark Atlanta, the Panthers went on the road, took it on the chin. We'll end up seeing what that looks like. The last one here was another top 10 matchup. That was the Winston-Salem State and the Virginia State Trojans. Talk a little bit about this in terms of top 25 rankings and those outside of it. Nice game, close win on the road, big for Virginia State as they get it done 34-33. Shout out to Dr. Henry Frazier III, as he got a big win. Doesn't count for him in the win column, according to what we heard early, but it counts in the loss for Winston-Salem State. So we'll get you an update because, again, on the CIAA website, they do have the win. So interesting to see what that looks like. So, gentlemen, as you see, we have the updates there from the score. I'm going to go with you, Charles. What are your thoughts in terms of what happened in the top 7, including those teams that are receiving votes outside of that, essentially all 10 of those programs?
Yeah, obviously the big one, the 2 versus 3 matchup, Virginia Union, Johnson C. Smith. I think that was the one that I was paying close attention to. The shocker to me that caught my eye was the Allen Clark matchup. I did not see that win for Allen. I saw Zay McDonald did go down in that game. So Clark was playing with their backup quarterback, so that might have made a difference in the game. But Benedict scoring 45 points. That threw me off. So, and they looked good. They looked really good. So we knew Benedict going into that game had one hell of a defense. It hadn't been scored upon going into that game. But the offensive part surprised me. So watching how they kind of matriculate through the season is going to be kind of interesting to me.
Yeah, can they be a spoiler? Let's go to Drew in terms of his thoughts in terms of those matchups we just broke down in the top 7.
I want to stay with that Tuskegee Benedict game. You've got a Tuskegee team who played FCS, Jackson State the
Yep.
week before on the road. And then you ask them to go on the road again to play Benedict on a short week on the road. So
Ooh,
after playing the FCS,
good
then
point.
you're going on the road to play a conference matchup against arguably the top defensive team in the SIAC. I'm gonna be honest with you, Chuck. I'm surprised Tuskegee scored 24 points in that game. To be honest with you, so
Particularly playing the number one ranked HBCU made top 25 team. Although they sat some people out, you talking about the physicality of the game on a short week. I think you make a good point that I really didn't consider. I'm glad you brought that up, Mike.
Yeah.
So I'm still on the Johnson C. Smith loss, and not that they lost, but the manner with which they lost, the amount of offense that they fell prey to, and I'm back on this Benedict. They quietly creeping in. It's almost as if the ghost of football past came and say, "Y'all know what? We play football here." And AD, D2 more than I will ever know. But if I was watching parts of that game, or keeping track of it, I should say, and correct me if I'm wrong, Tuskegee started out ahead. It was like a 17-7 lead, and then Benedict came with 38 unanswered points. So
Tuskegee scored basically a garbage time touchdown.
Yes, it was a garbage touch, but they had a 17-7 lead. So, and then the amount of rushing yards, the amount of offense that they put against, it's not that Tuskegee lost. I agree, they had a tough schedule before that, but the way they lost, the yards they gave up to, is it Benedict is really that good, and they're listening to the ghost of football past, and we are here to play in the year of our Lord 2025, or is it just they caught Tuskegee at a bad time? Benedict's playing well, and we just happen to catch Tuskegee at a bad time. Which is it?
I think it's a combination of both, Mike. Like I say, travel, FCS, short week, travel again. That has to wear physically on those student athletes. And then with Benedict, although we see it, have we really seen what Benedict is? We saw the 14 points per game in two games. Now we've seen an offensive explosion against probably a physically beat up Tuskegee team. I don't know who Benedict has on their schedule next.
Atlanta.
They got Clark Atlanta. So you're playing Clark Atlanta with essentially a bye week, because you played on the Thursday night with those 3 extra days of rest.
Yeah, very true.
We got data points, Spike, but they're kind of skewed because we haven't really seen what is Benedict doing from Saturday to Saturday. Yeah, we really can't tell you how good this Benedict team is. Whether that was just a blip on the radar, or whether this is a team that is going to contend with the likes of an Albany State in the SIAC, who is the perennial favorite to be in the championship game right now in the SIAC.
Yeah, very true. And then we got to see who's going to be in the quarterback position for Clark Atlanta as well.
Yep.
With that being said, let's take our second break and come back. It's time to unveil this week's top 7. We'll see what these gentlemen have to say about that as well. We'll be right back after this next break.
This is Brian Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
The Cavil Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cavil.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. HBCU Image, a Kenny T's company.
College football fans, a champion will rise in Atlanta on December 13th. MEAC champion, SWAC champion, the 10th Cricket Celebration Bowl, crowning an HBCU national champion. For event and ticket information, visit thecelebrationbowl.com. ESPN Events presents Red Lobster Band of the Year. Returning to Atlanta on December 12th, 4 bands will qualify for the big stage, where 2 national champions will be crowned. Follow us for rankings updates throughout the season, and join us on December 12th. For event and ticket information, visit bandoftheyear.com.
When it comes to professional learning, teachers deserve better. From the leader in online learning, Stride brings you the Stride Professional Development Center, an on-demand library of mobile-friendly courses that gives teachers choice and flexibility, allowing them to learn anytime and anywhere. Our dynamic courses provide bite-sized learning and help educators advance their knowledge while also gaining professional development hours. It's time you take charge of your learning. Visit us today to get started.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. The professors are in the lab. That is Professor Washington, Professor Bishop, and Professor Drew. With that being said, let's get into this top 7. You know, as we do, we'll tell you those that dropped out and receiving votes. So let's get into the mix and see what we have here in terms of week number 3 in the rankings for this top 7. Dropping out this week, we have a couple of teams that got in the mix here. Yeah, Winston-Salem State Rams, they fell out of the top 10 there at 2-2, 0-1 now. Clark Atlanta Panthers also fell out, 2-2, 1-1 on the season. And finally, Tuskegee Golden Tigers also fall out, 2-2, 1-1. It's tough in terms of the mid-majors. A lot of teams are doing well in terms of those teams. We have some surprises maybe this week, but we had 3 teams that fell out of the top 7. So let's get it started and see who exactly is in the top 7. Before we do that, those that are receiving votes: Allen Yellow Jackets, Winston-Salem State, Rams, and Clark Atlanta, the Panthers there, all received votes in looking to try to jump into the top 7. 2 of them trying to jump back in it. With that being said, let's go to number 7. Number 7 surprised a lot of folks maybe. Livingston Blue Bears, 2-1, 1-0. Big win this past weekend, 147. They were not ranked. They get into the mix as they are in the top 7. Big question for a lot of folks. Are they for real? Will they be able to stay there? We shall see as conference play is here. Let's go to number 6, Virginia State Trojans, 2-1, 0-0 in conference ranking. As we said, that game did not count for them, at least as we are hearing in some places. But again, we'll see what that looks like. 156 points. They were previously ranked, actually started the season ranked in the top 3 spots, if you look at it in terms of what they brought to the table. Not ranked last weekend, but they get right back right and jump back into the top 7. Bringing us to number 5. Albany State Golden Rams, 2-1, 1-0. One first place vote, 158 points. They do fall a spot. A lot of that had to do with the fact they just did not play this week. We'll see what that looks like as we move forward. So let's get into, speaking of moving forward, let's go to number 4. Number 4 is Johnson C. Smith Golden Bulls. They fall 2 spots after losing last week, 3-1, 0-1 in terms of what they got done. No first place votes, lost all of those after that loss they had. Still staying in the top 4 spot with 159 points. Bringing us to the top 3. At number 3, the Virginia Union Panthers, last year's champions. They're back in the mix. They found a way to win. They're 2-1. 3 first place votes, 203 points. as they stay in the 3 spot with their win as they continue to get things done. Bringing us to number 2. Number 2 are the Edward Water Tigers. They are 3-1, 2-0, 2 first place votes, 204 points. They fall from the number 1 spot. They do not fall very far, so a lot of folks still think they're a legit team. Ran into a buzzsaw as they jump up a division in terms of the fighting weight at the FCS level, and they learned a lesson, I guess you would say. Bringing us to number 1. We have a new number 1.
Ooh.
To everybody. Literally jumped all the way through the polls. Getting back to that little week-to-week stuff. Interesting to see what you all say about this. Benedict jumps all the way to the top. That's 2 different number 1 teams. That's 3 straight weeks with different number 1 teams, with new teams over the last 2 weeks. Can they stay there, I guess, is the question. They are ranked number 1 in week number 3 in terms of the Tigers that are 3-0, 2-0 with 3 first place votes in terms of their rankings. So fascinating, gentlemen. Let's have at it. Let me start with you, Drew. What are your thoughts in the top 7? I'm intriguing to hear what you have to say.
I think I know where that 1 first place vote for Albany State came from. Just want to put that out there for the but I do have a problem with them being at number 5, Dr. Cavil.
Okay.
Only, let's see. Correct me if I'm wrong. Virginia Union lost to a Division II team.
Yes.
Johnson C. Smith lost to a Division II team
in their conference.
Albany State lost to an FCS.
Correct.
They are ranked below the 2 teams that lost to like level talent.
Yes.
If anything, although I had Albany State at number 1, I could see Benedict number 1. I could see Edward Waters number 2. I give you those. But there's no way Union and Johnson C should be above Albany State, considering that Albany State's lone loss is to higher competition. So,
I think that's a valid point. They did not play last week. That didn't help them any. But yes,
I understand. Which is even more reason week to week, especially Johnson C. Smith. If you look at that week to week, Johnson C. Smith
gotta go
worse playing than Albany State did sitting at home in their living room.
Yeah.
But you don't rank Johnson C. ahead of Albany State.
That is true.
Come on,
I can't fight you on that one. I can't fight.
That's true. Now you making some points. Let me see what Mike Washington has to say.
I'm right along with it. I think Albany State should be for that very reason. I think, if you look at schedule, who they lost to, Edward Waters. Did they not lose to a Division I? They played FAMU, right?
Right. That's Edward Waters played Bethune. Albany State played FAMU. So you can debate that 2 and 3 between them. That's legit debate.
That was my point. That's where I'm getting at. 2 and 3 between them.
Yeah.
Because they played stronger opponents. And you compare them to Virginia Union, Virginia State. I just think from what I've seen, they should be 2 and 3. You can alternate between the 2.
So I think we understand where Drew had Albany State based on his comments. But Mike, where would you have Albany State?
I'd have Albany State right under Edward Waters.
Yeah.
You'd have them as high as 3. All right.
Yes.
That's good stuff.
Yeah.
Charles, fill it out.
Yeah.
Break it down. What do you have for us?
I mean, I think I fall in line with Albany State. They definitely passed the eyeball test, I think, first half against FAMU. I can definitely say that. And I'm in agreement. When you take a look at where these teams fall in the poll, I probably, you ask who would you take out, I would move Albany State up to 3, and then I go Albany State, Johnson C. Smith, then Virginia Union.
Good stuff. I was surprised.
I still don't see how you put Johnson C. ahead of Union.
Yeah, y'all picked up on the bigger teams, and I certainly the bigger brand and something to understand. I was surprised nobody caught ghosts with Livingston and the Blue Bears. But with that being said, the Blue Bears, the Blue Bears.
Oh,
Blue Bears.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, I got it. I just want to play along with him. But that being said, let's take our last break of the show. Come back in the fourth segment, and we'll break down some of the matchups and see what the gentlemen have us prepared to look for as we go into week 4 at the mid-major level. We'll be right back after this break.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
Planning an event? From weddings to corporate functions, CMJ Events LLC brings over 15 years of experience to make your vision a reality. Based in Metro Atlanta and serving statewide, even internationally, we provide versatile event planning and authentic catering cuisines tailored to your needs. Whether it's pre-game meals for student athletes, fundraisers, weddings, corporate functions, CMJ Events LLC is your one-stop solution for exceptional service and unforgettable food. Our diverse culinary heritage means we cater to all cultural taste, dietary needs, and food restrictions, making every meal uniquely yours. Let's make your next event unforgettable. Visit us on all social media at CMJ Events LLC or email us at cmjeventsllc@gmail.com. Also give us a call at 404-664-3882 so that we can start planning now.
College football fans, a champion will rise in Atlanta on December 13th. MEAC champion, SWAC champion, the 10th Cricket Celebration Bowl, crowning an HBCU national champion. For event and ticket information, visit thecelebrationbowl.com.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties. Through its programs, Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and parenting education coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. HBCU Image, a Kenny T's company.
ESPN Events presents Red Lobster Band of the Year. Returning to Atlanta on December 12th, 4 bands will qualify for the big stage, where 2 national champions will be crowned. Follow us for rankings updates throughout the season, and join us on December 12th. For event and ticket information, visit bandoftheyear.com.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
Let's get into the matchup for these top 7 that we just unveiled to see some games that you need to keep an eye on this week. Before we do that, I did want to give a little love to the mid-major in terms of the NIA programs, Drew, that we talk a lot about. They're struggling a little bit this year, but I want to make sure that we at least put it out there in terms of the football program, particularly with the recent announcement that Wilberforce is looking about bringing back football. We've seen that a little bit. You have Texas College and the Sooner Athletic Conference at 0-4. You have Langston at 1-3. Holding it down is Arkansas Baptist at 2-2. Obviously, we heard Barbara Scotia bringing football back. We almost have enough. They're spread out, so that'd be a challenge. But you're getting to the number of 6, potentially where you can get into 6 NIA football programs. We currently have 4 of them at this point playing in NIA. So something to keep your eyes on, particularly if you're over in that GCAC with that magic touch, see what they look like in terms of aspirational thought process out there. But getting a little ahead of ourselves, let's get into the real action that is taking place in week number 4 for the mid-major. That's another shout out to Brian. He doesn't like to play the game of the different weeks. I will remind him all season long until he's bored. Imagine that for somebody that loves to talk about Vegas. You got to know the weeks if you're a Vegas person voting. That's quintessential. That's one of the tidbits you're going to put out there. Thank you, Drew, for getting me back on task. Let's go. Benedict is 3-0-2-0 at number 10, Clark Atlanta Panthers that are 2-2. This is a big matchup for Clark Atlanta. They can't afford to take another loss, but it is a chance for Benedict Tigers to make another statement. I'm not sure if this is a statement that will clearly wake everybody up, but it certainly will tell everybody that Benedict is for real, or where the Panthers stay in the race theoretically for another week. Charles, what are your thoughts in terms of this 1-10 matchup?
I think you touched on it. I mean, I think Clark can't afford to lose another one here. The health of their quarterback, I think that goes a long way with regards to taking on this tough Benedict defense. But I think Benedict right now has the momentum. I mean, that 45 points they threw up on Tuskegee, it caught my eye. I think this is a good football team. I think they'll go into Atlanta and get the W.
I bet you it did. Go ahead, AD Drew. Your thoughts on this?
I kind of echo what Charles said. Who's playing quarterback for the Panthers? That's gonna be the question. Even if McDonald is able to come back, is this a team that I want to come back on after sustaining the injury last week against the top defense in the SIAC? You know, hey, he may come back, he may start, and then Benedict may put him on, man. He may be out for another 3-4 weeks playing against the Benedict Tigers. Anything in question, sit him down, let him get healthy. Hope that your number 2 can muster up enough and try to get back into the race that way. And hope we get some Miyake stuff, and hope that you get a bunch of 6-2 teams in, and that you're fighting if you're a Clark Atlanta.
Good stuff.
Yep.
Mike, your thoughts?
I echo what it. Which I mean, which Clark team you gonna get? Is it the one that beat? Is it the one that beat Florida Memorial? That team. I'm given that with the quarterback situation, even if you do get a quarterback, you're facing a team that allows less than 10 points per game through 3 or 4 games. So you're coming again against a tough component that just ran off 38 points straight against a tough Tuskegee. So, you're going to have to bring your A game. And I asked, which Clark team are you going to get?
10 points per game, Mike. All 24 points were scored in one game. That would be 8 points per game.
Yes, 8 points. I was rounding up.
There they go, jostling with each other, Charles. Let's go to this next matchup. Number 2, Edward Water Tigers 3-1, 1-0. They play Morehouse Maroon Tigers 0-3, 0-1. I won't get us all upset at this and pick on Drew. That's not fair to him. But I will ask it from this perspective: will Tigers get back to their winning ways?
Which one?
I will say yes, they will.
Their winning ways. One of them has not won lately. Nice try, Drew. Way to nice way to get that done. As Steve reminds us, you know where your bread is buttered. Let's go to the next matchup.
All over this matchup, Dr. Cavil.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Virginia Union and Shaw Bears, 2-1, 1-3. Virginia Union's on the road. Shaw Bears has showed us a little something here and there, but maybe not. Anybody of you all think that the Panthers won't get this done?
Next matchup.
Yeah.
Next.
Go Panthers. Yeah.
Go ahead. Okay.
Next matchup.
This is Hold the Bulls. Will they get back to winning and getting it done? No problem.
Yes.
Here.
Yes.
All right. Keep going. We're rolling. Now we got a top 10 matchup.
Yeah.
Now we got something to lather up a little bit. We got number 5 is at home hosting number 8 that came off a huge win. So as Allen Yellow Jackets 2-2, 2-0 in the conference race, while Albany State Golden Rams had a week off to get back into the action. 2-1 and 1-0. Drew, I'm gonna start with you. What are your thoughts in terms of this matchup?
It's going to be an interesting matchup there, Dr. Cavil. This Allen team has surprised some people. Well, not some people. Has surprised every doggone body this year. But when you think about it, why am I having a blank on their head coach's name? Coach Cedric Pearl, he does have a little bit of a pedigree there with Allen. There were some questions about that hire when he was hired, but he's quickly turned it around there in Columbia, South Carolina. And right now, Dr. Cavil, think about it. 2 of the 3 undefeated teams in the SIAC are in Columbia. Who'd have thunk it?
That's a good point. Who would
And
have thunk it?
one of and the third undefeated team, somebody is not going to be undefeated after this week.
That's a good point, particularly when you think about the coaches that have recently left Allen and Benedict. The fact that they seem to have gotten it right and gotten right back into things is fascinating. So great point there. Mike, where are you going? The one that makes sure that we pronounce Albany right. What are your thoughts in terms of this matchup? You know, you got to go home for Thanksgiving, so
exactly. You know, I got to hear it. So I guess I can't go against the number 1 offense in the SIAC right now through 3 games. Although Allen is 2 spots behind at about 31 points a game, 31.5. Albany State's about 41.7. So I think it's a strong. This is also a classic, right? The what's the name of this? Now my blind's going like the classic here. I thought. But anyway, I got to go with Albany State. Albany is also allowing only 20 points per game, where Allen is allowing 31. They're scoring less than they're allowing. So that tells me a little bit about their defense. And you look at who's leading, you know, who's tops and rushing and defense and defensive plays. I got to give the score. I got to give the edge to Albany State. And plus, my father-in-law told me to.
No classic, Mike. It's just a battle of the big A's.
It's a battle of the big A's. I thought this one was a classic for some reason. Okay.
No.
Good. Yeah, that was drawing me blank. I said I didn't hear that one yet. Anyway, let's go to you, Charles. What are your thoughts?
Intriguing matchup. I like Albany State in this one. But the big thing for me is, does Allen have an opportunity for the upset? Apparently Cedric Pearl believes in running the football. 61 attempts last week against Clark. 46, right? 46 by Fabian Duncan. 46 for 229 yards. You got to keep Isaiah Knowles off the field. And apparently they have the wherewithal to do it, but I'll go with the Golden Rams in this one.
Good stuff. All right, let's go to the next matchup. We have Virginia State Trojans 2-1 at Fayetteville State Broncos 1-3. Will the Broncos wake up? We've been waiting for them to get back to it. I don't know. Virginia State Trojans. Anybody think the Fayetteville State can get this quote-unquote upset? They are at home.
Dr. Cavil, in July, this would have been the sexy matchup of the week.
Yeah, I agree for sure.
But now it's those big A's that's the sexiest matchup of the week.
Charles, you have something to say? You said, hold on, not so fast.
I mean, this is a team, Fayetteville State, they put up 51 points on Elizabeth City State. And Elizabeth City, I mean, they hung with Hampton. They hung with Johnson C. Smith. And then they got a 50 burger put on them, last week. So Fayetteville State has something to them. So this is it's more intriguing to me now after seeing Fayetteville State put up so many points against what I thought was a pretty good team. And they did it, they did it in impressive fashion, 51 points. So, you know what? I'm going to take the upset. I'll go with Fayetteville State on this one.
Good stuff. All right, let's go to our last top 7 matchup. This one may be a little bit unique from a different perspective. Somebody gets to kind of stay in the race, and certainly you start to fall out with this loss in terms of if you're linking lines. They're versus number 7, Livingston Blueberries. They get a chance to say, hey, we like this top 7 stuff. Can they find a way to win this and stay in the top 7? Depending on what other teams and what kind of wins they get, may be interesting. Anybody see the Blueberries losing this game?
Somebody gonna put the L's up. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
Pretty clever. Our last matchup, we give a little love to the Fighting Gators. I know they don't like us saying that. So number 9, Winston-Salem State Rams, 2-2, 0-1. They had Bowie State Bulldogs, 1-2, 0-1. Fascinating. Again, this is a matchup clearly. You lose this one, you're putting yourself really in a tough position in terms of the find a way to contend. So I'm intrigued about this, but it should be an intriguing matchup based on what we've seen. Not a lot of games from the Bulldogs, but seem to be feisty. We can't tell who the Rams are. So, Charles, where are you with this matchup?
I think you touched on it. I mean, I just don't know which Winston-Salem State I'm going to get. I mean, a good hard fight against Virginia State, but I keep looking for them to turn the corner. And that was a huge game last week where I thought they could have turned the corner, but didn't. So that being said, I'll take the home team. I'll go with Bowie State at the crib.
Good stuff. AD Drew?
Although I like Bowie and we love it when you've got that battle up north. Winston-Salem is has been an up and down team.
Right.
This is the up week. Lose, win, lose, win. So this is that win week for them.
I know they would like it to continue at least this week in that direction. Moving forward, I'm not sure. It'd be fascinating. Can they put 2 wins in a row? They want to stay away from putting 2 L's in there. But Mike, where are you with this matchup?
Yeah, same place that they were at. Which Winston-Salem team you gonna get? Is it that team that beat Mars Hill 28-25, or the one that put 51 against Lincoln, or is it that one that lost last week? I don't know which team you're gonna get. They up and down. I'm gonna flip a coin, but my coin flip says Winston-Salem pulls this one out. I just hadn't seen enough out of Bowie State. They had 1 week where they showed us. They remembered they were in the football business, but I hadn't been much since then. So I'll go Winston-Salem on this one.
Good stuff. Appreciate y'all, gentlemen. Good matchups. I see the folks are already getting into what we'll talk about on Thursday with the big boys, the major division. We'll break down some of those matchups and spend 3 segments in terms of those key games, mostly in the SWAC. I have a couple of feature matchups. We'll get into the MEAC, but boy, we start conference play in the SWAC, and it delivers on this first full weekend with a couple of key matchups that I certainly intrigued about in regards to Jackson, the number 1 team in our poll ranking, is going on the road to the rival. This is one of those setup matches. Will Jackson State continue to do what they do? Will Southern kind of find a way to level set and finally get a win against the rival Jackson State? So we'll get a chance to talk about that more then. I don't want y'all to get into it now, but I wanted to tease it out a little bit, particularly since the live listeners are already going in on it. They can't wait. I don't blame them. Then you had that Alabama State FAMU matchup. Very intrigued about what that looks like. Essentially,
that's a big one.
Top 10 teams featured in that matchup. But then there's some quiet other matchups you're trying to figure out. Obviously, you got a top 10 matchup in the State Fair Classic. They had the press conference yesterday. A lot of intrigue about that. 100 years of celebrating the State Fair Classic, so a lot of history be at that. And Mike has already told how mad he is because he has to go to Brazil. So we'll remind everybody of that. Then there are a couple of quiet matchups. It's going to be interesting just to see the tipping point. Where is Alabama A&M? Can Bethune-Cookman pretty much shock everybody? Obviously, Pine Bluff and Alcorn, we get a chance to see who will at least start things out in terms of redirecting their season, at least
that's
for
Southern Heritage, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And that is the Southern Heritage, as that is moved in terms of Memphis. Great opportunity for those teams to brand themselves. I'm glad you talked about the classic there. Then you have Texas Southern going to Valley. Will Valley get to make the statement, or will Texas Southern start out what people thought they may have been for this season? Will they get a chance to redirect? So some intriguing matchups there. And you go into MEAC, talking about some of those key matchups as well, as they get a chance to continue to what they do against FCS, historically white colleges. So I'm fascinated to see what takes place there. A couple of mid-major matchups. So Classic featuring Morgan State and the Miles Golden Bears in the Circle City Classic. So classic matchup there. With that being said, I want to say thank you for listening to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, the Dean of HBCU Sports, come from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, AD Drew. Again, we want to thank you for listening to Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop every Tuesday and Thursday. We'll be back on Thursday again to give you a breakdown of the matchups at the major divisions, setting things up. and look for some news to come out about what you can prepare to watch on Saturday, game time doing its things, and maybe a special announcement in terms of SWAC TV. We'll see what that looks like. Keep your eyes and ears open for that before you get into Carlos Brown doing his things on Saturday. Obviously, we'll lead up with the ONG Strike Zone as they do their stuff tomorrow on Wednesday. And then on Sunday, we'll be back after we do our Thursday show to drop another major division top 7 and see how things change, particularly after this essentially first full week of SWAC play, if you would. With that being said, we look forward to Thursday to discuss the latest in the lab. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil. It's DrKenyattacavil. That's on Threads, Facebook, and Instagram. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab 1 on Facebook, and Inside the HBCU Sports Lab on YouTube. The episode sponsored by SIEC Butter. Drink big, continue to move forward.
I got you, Steve. I got you.
Yeah, Steve, it ain't right, man. This CIAA SIEC stuff is starting to lather up a little bit. I know y'all like to say it's nothing there, but y'all keep this up. Maybe we'll get something about that talk. We'll talk with you soon. Charles.
Of course.
Mike.
Lecture.
Drew.
What you got to say?
Dismissed.
Thank you.
Hey, Mike ain't nothing but a big old bully.